Old Fashioned Football on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Shady Rays. Shady Rays is having their best deal of the year. Go to shadyrays.com and use code SGPN for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. And go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/shady to enter the Shady Rays Parlay of the Day contest.
Old-fashioned football.
You make this deal right now, you pancake-eating mother.
All right, deal.
Old-fashioned football.
What's going on, everybody? Old Fashioned Football. Welcome to Old Fashioned Football. It's the first time we've gone live. So I'm still playing around with the buttons here, so you'll have to bear with me a little bit, but it's an exciting time for NFL fans. It is draft day. Now, you'll notice if you've listened before, it's Old Fashioned Football, and we're maybe missing half of Old Fashioned Football. Maybe some of the people's favorite part of Old Fashioned Football, Miranda, JMark's wifey. That is okay. She's still working. Unfortunately, it happens. So you gotta keep paying the bills with the day job, correct? But anyways, it is the NFL draft. It's starting now officially. I don't think they've kicked the Panthers off of the clock. Roger Goodell's going to have to come on and say his little spiel, get booed. By the way, if you see me looking over this way, that's where the TV is, so I can keep up with everything that's going on. But yeah, if you've never joined before, if you're just dropping by because you noticed this was up here, welcome. We are Old Fashioned Football. I say we because there's normally me and my wife. And no, it's not just like one of those things where, oh, husband and wife, they probably just agree with each other all the time. No, she puts me in my place more times than I like to admit, especially when it comes to fantasy football. She's very good at fantasy football and very competitive. So it's always good to have, right? But we're going to be reacting to some of these draft picks. We got the Panthers on the clock, of course. Now, that came after a blockbuster trade with the Chicago Bears, and we are Chicago Bears fans. We're going to be talking about these picks. We're going to be talking about a little bit of kind of what we think as far as, fantasy football wise and everything like that. But before we jump into that, I did want to take a little break here. And we had a very special guest on. You can go back and listen to that podcast, but we had former Chicago Bear, current ESPN analyst Sam Acho on our show. And here's kind of what he had to say about that trade and kind of who won really and what he thought about it overall. Last Bears question. They just made the big trade about a month ago to come out of that first draft pick. They got the ninth, another first rounder, a couple seconds, and DJ Moore. I felt like it was a haul. I'm excited about everything we got. How do you feel about it? Kind of, being a Bear fan now, a sports analyst, how do you feel they did there?
I thought it was brilliant. Not only to get DJ Moore, but to get all the draft picks that you got. Ninth overall, I believe it is this year. I believe another first rounder next year. And then another, was it second or fourth rounder? Like, there's so many. I think you got a lot, and you already have Justin Fields. You needed and still need to add more weapons. And so to get a number one receiver, and then now who knows what they're going to do in the draft with the ninth overall pick. Maybe they trade up or trade back. Maybe they stay there. I love the decision. I think the Bears won that trade. Now we'll see what happens, who the Panthers take number one overall, but I think the Bears won. Let me not even say won, but most negotiations, both sides kind of feel, if it's a good negotiation, both sides feel like, man, I didn't really like it. I don't think the Bears are walking away like, yeah, we, whatever. It's like, who knows? And the Panthers might be like, man, we gave a lot, but who knows how this ends up.
That was a very fun interview to do. He was great on the show. We talked fantasy football, we talked football, and we talked his book, Change Starts With You, which I encourage you to check out. Now, there's a couple other things that happened today. Well, one other big thing that happened today, Lamar Jackson got paid. It's a 5-year, $260 million deal. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's interesting that he's getting paid more than Jalen Hurts. Now, if you ask me, I'd rather have Jalen Hurts on my football team. I'd also rather have him on my fantasy football team, just personally. The really interesting thing is, and it kind of scares me as a Bears fan, is who's next? Like, if Fields, is he next? Is he the next quarterback that once his rookie deal's up, he has one of these mega deals? How much does it hold your team back? It'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. I believe I was in the middle of, I get a lot of scattered brain going on because there's so much going on and it's an exciting day. I believe I was in the middle of saying that we are Old Fashioned Football. Usually it's me and the wife, just me today. We are a fantasy football podcast, though we talk a lot of NFL news, headlines, kind of everything really. NFL related, fantasy football related. Preseason, we focus on the auction stuff, auction leagues, and get you prepared for those. During the season, we talk about waiver wires. And yeah, and you're wondering why old-fashioned football? Fantasy football is not old-fashioned. Well, we're usually drinking an old-fashioned while we're shooting our podcast and talking fantasy football, and then we review the whiskey in it. I do have my whiskey right here. Got a couple of them I'm going to be trying today on the little stream here. But yeah, we got right now Savage and Cook. Second Glance, it's their American whiskey. It's very kind of sweet, very corn forward, I guess. You taste a lot of corn, which American whiskey is made with a lot of corn, of course. But yeah, we had their head distiller Dylan Carney on the show. Also encourage you to go check that out. Very fun guy to talk to. Roger Goodell is coming out. I don't have the sound on, but I have to imagine he is getting booed. If you are in the chat and watching, let me know if he's getting booed. Before I keep going, I did want to let you know that we're brought to you by Shady Rays. We're running a special Parlay of the Day contest for people who've bought their shades from ShadyRays.com using promo code SGPN. Each day of the NFL draft, that includes today, tomorrow, and Saturday, the Sports Gambling Podcast will release a Shady Rays Parlay of the Day. If the parlay hits, the cash will be awarded to one lucky listener. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/shady to start getting shady. Now, our friends at Shady Rays have you covered from the sun to the slopes with premium polarized shades, customizable snow goggles, and more. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers world-class product that's just as good as any expensive pair we've worn. Durable frames and extremely clear optics for outdoor events. And that's not all. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection in all of eyewear. That's right. If you break your pair of Shady Rays, it could be day one. Break them, they will replace them, no questions asked. I mean, maybe it was an accident. Maybe you had a little bit too much whiskey, you fell or forgot they were in your pocket. Maybe you put them in your pocket for some reason. You went into the bar, it was sunny, you came out, it was dark, you sat on them. Who knows what happened, but you can get them replaced for free. No questions asked. And with Shady Rays, you can look good and feel good. To date, they have donated over 20 million meals to fight hunger with Feeding America. If you don't love them, exchange them for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop with Shady Rays. Their team always has your back. And exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the year. Go to shadyrays.com and use code SGPN for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 200,000 people. That's a lot of people. So the draft's getting ready to start. We know that the Carolina Panthers are on the clock, but I do. They already selected Bryce Young. Apparently, I'm behind. We all kind of knew that was coming, right? All the hubbub, the talk, everything. We knew that Bryce Young was going to be the pick. I'm seeing that, yeah, first overall pick, Panthers select quarterback Bryce Young. Now, at Alabama, last year he had 3,328 yards, 32 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 64.5% completion rate. His pro comparison is Tua Tagovailoa, so both from Alabama. I'm worried about this pick, to be honest. Fantasy football, I am not targeting Bryce Young unless it's a dynasty or super flex, of course, but I just don't trust him. He's a little guy. They keep saying 6 foot. He's 5'10 and 3/8 of an inch. That is a small quarterback, historically small, one of the smallest quarterbacks drafted since 1967. So that bothers me. That worries me. But yeah, I don't know about this one. You'll have to let me know how you feel, but I don't feel good about it. I don't think that he's going to last in the league, honestly. I think he's going to get injured, but that's just my opinion. So first pick off the board already. Again, mine is trying to catch up over here. I am streaming it on this TV, and yeah. But the Panthers had a long time to make that pick. They've had the number one pick for a while. Now, before I continue, I want to talk about another quarterback. Another quarterback here that got traded. Big name, got traded. You don't see that very often, but we did a lot of talk on Aaron Rodgers as this progressed, didn't progress, his darkness retreat, everything. Go back and listen to those episodes. As Bears fans, we have a little fun taking a stab at Rodgers. So let me cue that up here real quick.
The Aaron Rodgers trade. So the Packers get a first-round pick, which is the 13th pick
Yes.
of the 2023 draft, a second round, which is the number 42nd pick, a sixth round, which is the 207th pick, and a 2024 second round. It becomes a 2024 first round pick if Rodgers plays 65% of the plays for the Jets.
Yes.
The Jets get Rodgers. They get a first round pick. So they basically just like swapped. Their 13th pick is what the Jets had. They gave that to the Packers for the Packers' 15th.
Yeah.
For the 15th pick, their first round 15th
Right.
pick. They get the Packers 2023 fifth round pick, which is the 170th pick of the draft.
Yeah.
That's it. What are your thoughts?
So I answered in the podcast what my thoughts were. I excuse myself for looking down here. I got a notification that Bryce Young was the pick, but I can't find anywhere that's official yet. I know we all thought that's where they were going with it, but yeah, I'm just curious where we're getting the official announcement. I don't think it's been official yet. It is not. People are messing with us. Now, we all think that's what it's going to be, right? But we'll see. So maybe that's not the pick yet. That's people fucking with us. Excuse my language. If you're tuning in, cover your ears if you're young. I'll save my thoughts then. I guess we'll wait. My thoughts on the Aaron Rodgers trade. I think that you don't hear me say nice things about the Packers very often. I think the Packers won this trade. I really do. They got good draft collateral for a player who's not what he used to be, right? Rodgers, I mean, he's still a good quarterback. He still makes some good throws, but he's not what he used to be. I don't think anybody can argue that. And he's older. I mean, how many more years? He's debated retirement the past, 2-3 years? He could retire next year. And they potentially get a first rounder next year, second rounder this year, first rounder next year if he plays 65% of the snaps, which you got to imagine he will, unless the only way I could think of that they wouldn't is if he gets injured, which has been a little bit of a problem. He's not as durable as he used to be, right? So very interesting there. Excuse me. Real quick, I want to talk about this Savage and Cook second glance. Get that awkward pod silence when I'm, excuse me, on the pod myself and taking a drink of the whiskey before I review it. It's very smooth. That's one of the things I like about this one. I've seen a lot of things that whiskey's best enjoyed however you like it, right? So even the distiller, a lot of distillers or kind of whiskey connoisseurs, if you will, they will tell you it's meant to be drank straight. You don't mix it with anything. The distiller we had on, Dylan Carney, he said that he does not feel that way. If you're enjoying it, you're enjoying it. If you're buying his product, he's happy because that's why he's making it, so that people will buy it. But anyways, it is this bottle right here, second glance. I didn't know if I was going to be able to point to it like that right off the bat. So kudos to me. But let me grab it so you can see it a little bit better. Looks like a guy in a tie and another one walking by. Or is it a pair of pliers? See, now you can't unsee the pair of pliers, right? I'm seeing the Panthers are still on the clock. 5 minutes remaining for their pick. You got to imagine they're going Bryce Young, right? That's kind of what I'm guessing. So we'll see if I'm right. I did an original mock draft on the Sports Gambling Podcast site. Go check that out. And I had them taking CJ Stroud. And then like the day after it was released, all these rumors came out that they prefer Bryce Young. They want Bryce Young, blah, blah, blah. So my 2.0 has Bryce Young going first and Stroud going second. A lot of people think the Texans might go Will Anderson second or a defensive player, Tyree Wilson. I think if a guy like Stroud is there, you have to take him, right? You have to. You can't not at that point. So I guess we will see. Let me click back here. Panthers on the clock. I got a lot going on the side thing here. I guess that's the problem with not having an assistant to do these, right? Let's see what else we can get going. We got here we go. That's what I wanted. 3:51. They're showing the war room right now for the Panthers. It looks like they are calling the pick in. And so we'll have an answer soon on who it is. Like I said, we assume it's going to be Bryce Young, but it's hard to tell. There are always surprises in the draft, and I don't think this one is going to be any different than it is every year. In fact, a lot of the guys, Ian Rappaport, Schefter, all those guys said that this was the most unpredictable draft that they've had in years. So I just feel like that's saying something. But yeah, before we keep going, I have to get us paid one more time. We're brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. The NBA and NHL playoffs are here, and what better way to get down on some player prop parlays than over at Underdog Fantasy? Besides daily NHL, NBA, and MLB games, they've also already got NFL best ball drafts with a guaranteed $500,000 in prizes. I want to win a $500,000. Head over to UnderdogFantasy.com and use promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPN. All right, the pick is in. It has not been announced yet, but the pick is in. So, yeah, if you're in the chat here, which, by the way, if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple or wherever you listen to your podcast, subscribe to Old Fashioned Football on YouTube. It is youtube.com/@old-fashioned football. We have a lot of different shorts that we pull from our little teases, I should say, from our podcasts, and we're going to be going live a little bit more. This is our first time going live. I keep saying hour, even though it's just me sitting here. I am not crazy. I do not have like a mouse in my pocket that I am talking about. My co-host, my better half, she's still working. So if you're just joining us, which looks like with a couple of the numbers there, looks like a couple people just joined. So welcome. The pick is in, waiting for them to announce it. So let's talk about the Panthers real quick. They have Andy Dalton there, right? I don't think Andy Dalton is encouraging anybody that he will be starting. I think he is a excellent vet to have and kind of help show the ropes. I mean, he's been in the league for quite a while, and there it's official. Bryce Young. Again, 3,328 yards, 32 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 64.5% completion. Pro comp is Tua. Same school as Tua. Here's the deal. He went to Alabama, obviously. The last quarterbacks to be drafted out of Alabama, Mac Jones, Tua Tagovailoa. My problem with Tua is I don't think he looked all that great until he had two of the fastest wide receivers and a improved offensive line that was one of the best in the league, right? He didn't look good, in my opinion, in the couple years leading up to that. They added Hill and Waddle, and that's what really started getting him going this year. Now, Mac Jones, I don't think he's it. I don't think he's the answer. So now we have Bryce Young, who's from that same offense, that same Saban-led, where they have, 4 or 5-star recruits playing. Makes anybody look good. And to top that off, he's a small quarterback, which I'm worried he's going to get injured. He's 5'10", 3/8 of an inch, under 200 pounds. Like I said, historically very small, the smallest quarterback drafted since 1967. So fantasy football wise, I'm honestly staying away. I'm staying away from Bryce Young. Now in a dynasty league, if you want to take a late flyer on him, a keeper league, you want to, that's fine. I understand. So, but sorry, we got the Discord. Somebody was tagging me with a question about whiskey. Make sure you hop into the Sports Gambling Podcast Discord. Always lots of good things happening there. And we have a section called The Bar. So come hang out, have a virtual drink, and talk some whiskey. We can talk a little Savage and Cook. I'm going to be doing their Second Glance. I'm going to be doing their Burning Chair. And then I'm going to switch gears a little bit to this Oak and Eden. We'll talk about that when we get there. But pick one, I guess, brought to you by Savage and Cook. Now the Texans are on the clock, and we're down to only 5 minutes 42 seconds. That clock was rolling quick on them. Hopefully they're ready. I am sure they are. Predictions here. I think they have to go quarterback. I think it's a little silly if they don't. Now, a lot of people are on the debate of CJ Stroud or Will Levis. I'm a CJ Stroud fan. But yeah, shout out to the mom and dad supporting the first live here. Woohoo! It's draft day. Absolutely, I am excited. What whiskey are you guys drinking? Because I have to ask because I know you guys are whiskey fans. So what whiskey are you drinking? So, anyways, the Texans, I think they go quarterback. A lot of people predicting they're gonna go defense and maybe hope that quarterbacks slide and they can hit a quarterback up at that 12th pick that they have. Their pick is in, so they did that pretty quicker than the Panthers did, and the Panthers had a long time to discuss this. But yeah, who do you guys think they're picking? I apologize again for looking over here. It's where my TV is. That's how I can give you some updates. But while this pick is in, let's Bryce Young, first Alabama player drafted first overall. That's interesting since 1967, which is the common draft era. Interesting because they are such a power school. However, I'm just so conflicted because their system works so well. Their system works so well that are the players really that great? I mean, some of them obviously have panned out to be great. Others, like Mac Jones, he looked great in college. Hasn't panned out yet. Bryce Young, I think, is going to follow that more than Tua. He's not a bad player. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but he's in the same offense that made Mac Jones look great and had a worse record than Mac Jones. So that's something to think about. This last year, anyways, he did, which I'm kind of for. I like not seeing Alabama in the championship every single year, right? Saban has done a great job with the program, obviously. They've been very successful, but it's always nice to mix it up a little bit, though I'm sure people are going to get tired of Georgia soon, and I kind of like rooting for Georgia, partially because a good friend of ours, Josh Thompson, he's a Georgia fan. So anyways, I was going to fill this out. If you can see the ticker on the bottom, if you're on the live, I was going to fill this out in between each pick, but it seems like that's going to be a lot of typing. On the clock, the Texans. On deck, we have the Arizona Cardinals. JMark's prediction is CJ Stroud. That's my prediction. The pick is in. They haven't announced it yet, but the Cardinals are on the clock. They got 7 minutes right now. But I'm not seeing that the The pick has been announced. Speaking of the Cardinals, I saw something interesting pop over. I'm sure if you had your sleeper notification set up, you saw it. But Eagles and Cardinals settled a tampering investigation today involving the hiring of former Philadelphia defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon as Arizona's head coach, per sources. The terms of this settlement, the Eagles traded their 94th pick in this draft and a 2024 fifth round to the Cardinals for the 66th pick. That's strange to me. It just seems like it's a trade rather than a settlement, but I guess whatever you want to call it, however you want to sweep this under the rug, do so. When this pick is in, I'm going to announce it and then talk a little bit about it. And then I'll tell you a little bit about a contest we are running. So, Roger Goodell, what do we got? There it is, CJ Stroud. Exactly what I thought they were going to do, actually. So that is good. CJ Stroud out of Ohio State. I think he's better than Bryce Young. Last year, 3,688 yards, 41 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 66.3% completion. His pro comp is Dak Prescott, which I think Dak is good. I don't think Dak's a quarterback that's ever going to help the Cowboys win a Super Bowl, if I'm being honest. But it is interesting. Welcome to the viewers that are watching. Again, this is Old Fashioned Football, or half of Old Fashioned Football. Miranda is stuck at work. She cannot join. If you've not checked us out before, we're a fantasy football show that drinks an old fashioned while we are talking fantasy football and then reviews the whiskey. Right now, I am drinking Pick 2, brought to you by Savage and Cook's Second Glance, which is their American whiskey. Sorry. CJ Stroud, I'm a fan of this pick. I like it. And I think that he's going to find some success with the Texans, right? They're starting to build a good program. They have a young running back in Dameon Pierce, who before injury had 939 yards, 4 rushing touchdowns, 30 receptions for 165 yards and a receiving touchdown. They got some role players like Nico Collins, who had 481 yards and 2 touchdowns. They got Robert Woods that they brought in. I'm not inspired by Robert Woods. I think it's been a while since he's been relevant, but they do have him. They have Dalton Schultz. I think that was a great pickup. He had a good year last year for the Dallas Cowboys. And now you get the guy that's been compared to Dak Prescott throwing to him. So look for Schultz's value in fantasy football to remain consistent. I think he's still going to be a top 12 tight end. Losses for the Texans. They did lose Brandon Cooks and Philip Dorsett. And last year with Davis Mills, they had 3,118 passing yards, 17 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. CJ Stroud, I like him to get around 3,500, 20 touchdowns or so. I don't know if he'll get the 10 interceptions, maybe 10 interceptions. You know, rookies tend to make mistakes, but this guy, he's very athletic. He's got a huge arm, and he's very confident. You know, they were making a big deal about his scores, test scores. Not a fan about that. So my dad checking in. He's got a sample of Holiday's Bottled and Bond. Ben Holiday's Bottled and Bond. I have not had that yet. I have seen the photo that he got. And yeah, it looks good. I'm excited to try it. So CJ Stroud. I like CJ Stroud. Not a fan of the Bryce Young pick. I'm not going to target him in my drafts, even Dynasty. CJ Stroud, I will. I will go after CJ Stroud. Looks like the Texans fans are excited. Now, what I want to see them do, they have the 12th pick. If they could add Jackson Smith and Jigba, the wide receiver that had success with CJ Stroud, I think that would be huge. I think JSN would be a great pickup, and they need the receiver help. He and Dalton Schultz as the main weapons with Dameon Pierce out of the backfield. They also picked up Devin Singletary, who has been serviceable. I think this team is improving. This team is getting better. It's unfortunate that they don't have Lovie Smith there anymore. That's unfortunate, but you know, it is what it is. I still think he was fired because he won that last game. It helped Bears fans out. So thank you, Lovie, for giving us one last hurrah. So I'm going to excuse the silence as I finish this. Ooh. All right. I like that one because it's got a little kick, but not much. Not a lot of kick to it. So now the next one, the next whiskey we're drinking here, another one we reviewed on the show with Dylan Carney, Savage and Cook Burning Chair. Got it already poured. That's this one over here. I also have the Burning Chair Barrel Proof, which is like 120 or barrel pick, sorry, 120 proof. This one is only 88, but cool labels. They do good on their labels for sure. Almost as good as they do on their whiskey. I do like their bourbon better than the Second Glance, the American whiskey. My co-host Miranda, she likes the Lip Service, which is their rye. And then on that podcast where we interviewed Dylan Carney, which again, go check that out. Sorry, it looks like the Cardinals are running low on time here. On that podcast, go check it out. We also tried the Manhattan Project, which is a ready-to-drink product that they offer. Now, I'm just sticking around here for the first 5 or 6 picks with you guys, doing a little draft analysis. So far in JMark's list here, we got CJ Stroud for your fantasy football target, and our second one, Bryce Young. I'm not really crazy about him. Excuse me. That that Second Glance is kicking back on me a little bit. Maybe too big of a gulp there at the end. But anyways, this pick number 3, brought to you by Arizona Cardinals. The reason I'm not sticking around for this whole thing, go check out. I'm not trying to compete with the mothership at Sports Gambling Podcast. Oh, we got a trade alert. Arizona Cardinals are trading the number 3 pick to the Texans. Woo! Wow. I'm sure that has to do with the number 12 pick. I'm sure the Texans are getting the Cardinals are getting the number 12 pick. I heard rumors that they were looking to trade DeAndre Hopkins. If he goes to the Texans, that is huge for CJ Stroud. That lifts his value. I don't know if that's the case yet. I'm waiting to hear. You know, a lot of times they make these trades and then you don't hear the details of them right away. But this is going to say pick 2. Well, here, I got you. I can do a little quick editing here. Save. Pick 3, the Houston Texans, back on the clock. The pick is in. Will Anderson. That's my guess. I think they address defense now. They take the best defensive player by a lot anyways in Will Anderson. That's just my guess. I had Will Anderson going as the 3rd pick. Now, a lot of people had Will Levis going as the 3rd pick because they thought the Titans were going to trade up here. That's another quarterback that I'm not a fan of. I don't think Will Levis is going to be as successful. So this is really interesting. I'm excited to see what happens here because I pegged this draft going in my 2.0 once things kind of changed to Bryce Young being the favorite and the Panthers saying they really liked him. I had Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, and then Will Anderson. Curious to see if that's what happens, but we will wait and find out. Roger Goodell is coming out. The pick is in for the Houston Texans. And this pick is brought to you by Savage and Cook's Burning Chair. Excellent, excellent bourbon. I love this one. So while Roger Goodell walks out here, maybe y'all are watching at home, seeing what he's doing. I'm going to drink, not to Roger Goodell, but to the Texans, moving up to the 3rd after being just right in the 2nd. So we did not expect that. That bourbon is so good. That is a very smooth bourbon. They are taking 3rd pick in the 2023 draft, Will Anderson. So I'm 3 for 3 in my mock draft 2.0. 3 for 3. Let's see what we got here. That's Will Levis. Will Anderson out of Alabama. He's an edge rusher / linebacker. I've heard a lot of people compare him to Von Miller. Now, it's hard to compare a rookie to a Pro Bowler like Von Miller. I understand that. I really do. But he's got all the flashes of being able to get to that level, right? And some others might feel better comparing him to. I'm waiting to see if I can get some details on this trade, but Sean Merriman, which was an excellent edge rusher linebacker. I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep up with everything going on for you guys to get you the news that I can. I'm trying to see if they'll give us details on this trade. I'm not seeing it yet. Not seeing it yet. But I see Matt Miller also compared him to Von Miller, so at least I was right on that one. I love this pick. I love this pick. Texans are resetting their team. They needed big movement on both the offense and defensive side, and yeah, 3 for 3 in the comments. JMark 57. Maybe we won't say that's dad, so it looks like there's more listeners. JMark 57, 3 for 3. You're on fire. Thank you. I am on fire. I'm feeling good about it. Now, if I'm accurate, Colts are on the clock, and they take Will Levis. That was my projection in my 1.0 and my 2.0. I thought they were going to go with Will Levis. So we'll see. A lot of rumors that they liked him. I don't like him. He eats black bananas, peel and all. I don't understand it. And he puts mayonnaise in his coffee. That's not okay. There's something wrong with that. Like if I had mayonnaise in my coffee and eaten black bananas, peel and all, I'm gonna need more of this before I'm doing any of that. But anyways, I don't think I finished saying I have a lot of mid thoughts here, right? that's what happens when it's just me and Miranda's not here to kind of ground me and rope me in when I go on my tangents that I'm in mid thought. But what I was saying is I'm only probably doing through picks 6, maybe 7, because I don't want to compete with the Sports Gambling Podcast. They are doing their live draft party that they're watching the draft. You can jump and join them on their YouTube. So make sure you do that. And I'm going to go join them and make an appearance for the Bears pick because big Bears fan, as I said. So I will be there watching and reacting to the Bears on their show. That'll be fun. Always fun to hang out with Sean and Kramer. They run an excellent program with the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, and we have said it many times before. We are very thankful to be able to be a part of that. So, Texans trending up. Get your bets in now. CJ Stroud, Will Anderson. I know this is a fantasy football show, but pretty exciting things for Texas fans. I got to imagine they're pumped. I got to imagine they're feeling good because this has been the Colts pick is in, by the way. Let me remove old Will Anderson here because they are not going to pick him. If I want to go 4 for 4, they'll take another Will. So we'll see how that goes. They're talking to Will right now. Let's see. Yeah, it's hard to gauge these defensive guys. I'm mainly reacting to the offensive players, but this obviously lifts the Texans defense. Now, whether you want to draft them in a 12-team league, maybe. If they got Will Anderson going after the quarterback and Derek Stingley picking him off, that's a pretty good combo. That's a good foundation to start this defense looking really good. So you gotta respect that and what they're building there. Trying to glance here real quick. Yeah, I like the pick. I think it's great. Like I said, Colts on the clock. Let me tell you about our contest real quick. So we're running a contest, and here's what you got to do. Get on Twitter and follow at Old Fashioned FB. It's running on the screen right now. Then leave a review on Spotify or Apple. Now, I'm insistent that it's a 5-star review. Miranda says an honest review. I hope that, honestly, it's a 5-star review. That's what I hope. But anyways, Colts are getting excited here, even though they haven't announced the pick. Cheerleaders are dancing. The war room looks ready. They've sent it in. They're ready for it to be announced so they can celebrate. Follow on Twitter. Another, it's like I got ADD today or something. Follow on Twitter. Leave a 5-star review or an honest review. Hopefully it's honestly 5 stars. And here's Anthony Richardson's raising his eyebrows like he knows he's next or something. I wouldn't have predicted that. But review, follow, and if you and follow, subscribe on your listening platforms. But if you happen to leave a Spotify review, I won't see your name. So screenshot it and send it to our Twitter account so that we know and we can get you in. That runs until the end of April. Now, right after the Colts selection, I will tell you what you win. Colts are selecting Anthony Richardson. Wow. I was hoping he would fall to the Raiders, to be honest. I thought he was going to go to the Raiders, but Anthony Richardson, let's see what my notes say. Comparison is Trey Lance. That is not a good comparison. Trey Lance is a bust. Anthony Richardson needs time. He needs time, I think. I don't know if he's ready this year, if I'm being honest. So maybe they think Big Dick Nick Foles will kind of be their quarterback. But if you listen to our show with Colby Dant, which still go back and listen to it, his college knowledge is excellent. But if you listen to it, you will hear him say that Anthony Richardson has all the intangibles. He's like a creative player on Madden, right? And like you just set everything to 100. Now, he described it as we haven't seen that come to fruition in a game. He's only started 13 games, but he's an elite athlete. He's 6'4", excellent runner, huge arm, and he's just a little inconsistent. He will clean his game up, though. I think he's ready to clean his game up. I think he wants to learn. He wants to get better. And yeah, I like that pick a lot. He's somebody in Dynasty that I am targeting. Even if he doesn't start this year, I would target him 100%. So the Anthony Richardson and the Seattle Seahawks, pick number 5, brought to you by, again, Savage and Cook Burning Chair. But if you're watching the highlights, if you have the show going as well as this, listening, he makes some good throws. He makes some nice touch passes. He makes some nice deep throws. But then when he takes off, it's kind of like watching Justin Fields run, right? It's like that big home run ability where he can break free at any moment. So congratulations, Anthony Richardson. I will be targeting him in fantasy football drafts. My concern is that he won't start this year. So if you need a quarterback to start now, you're going to want to look at like CJ Stroud. If you're drafting a rookie, that is. If you have the bench space to put a project on there and let him sit and develop, Anthony Richardson's your guy. He is your guy. He's going to be phenomenal. I have a lot of confidence in Anthony Richardson. On the flip side, in the same breath that Colby said he was like a LeBron James, they're comparing him to Donovan McNabb on here. I like that better than Trey Lance, to be honest. I think he's more of a McNabb style. But lost my train of thought again. But anyways, this is a great pick. I think that's a very solid pick. And the Colts, it seemed like they're a quarterback away from competing, right? So I don't know. Last year they had Matt Ryan, Sam Ehlinger, and Nick Foles. They threw for 3,800 yards, 17 touchdowns. Do I think Will Levis can do that? Will Levis. Anthony Richardson can do that. Not right away, but yeah, AR-15 is what we call him here. I suppose not a lot of media outlets are willing to call him that, understandably so. So I did not go 4-for-4. I went 3-for-4. I had Anthony Richardson going to the Raiders. Now I think the Raiders kind of shift gears and take a cornerback. But very exciting for Anthony Richardson. I'm happy for him. Let's talk about this bourbon a little bit. Again, it's a smooth bourbon. Got enough kick that it would do all right in a mixer. But yeah, I do like the fact, if I'm touting my draft picks here, that there was a trade that I did not predict and still went 3-for-3. So I'll give myself the old pat on the back for that. But anyways, if you let me know in the comments if you are targeting Anthony Richardson in your draft. Now, again, I don't think he pays off this year. I don't. But I remember what I was saying. In the same breath that I don't know what's going on now. The same breath that Colby Dant said Anthony Richardson is like a LeBron James creative player, Madden. He also said he's kind of like a Jake Locker. Like there's inconsistencies there and not enough game tape that he could be out of the league quickly. So that's a little scary, but yeah. Now, excuse me real quick. Seahawks. Who do I think they're taking? I think they take Jalen Carter. That's kind of who my pick was for them. But I don't know. They could go a bunch of different routes. They could definitely take a cornerback here, kind of try to get back to that Legion of Boom, right? But I like a quarterback or cornerback spot for them, especially because there's some good cornerbacks that are still available, right? They haven't gone yet. Be interesting to see how early they go. 5 might be a little early. This one's taken a while, which makes me wonder if there's a trade coming. That's my concern. Tennessee is trading up, is my guess, to get Will Levis. Just a guess. Complete shot in the dark guess here. But because this is taking so long, the pick is not in. That normally means that they are negotiating a trade or at the very end of negotiating a trade. And if that is the case, because they only have a minute left. So if that's the case, I think it's the Tennessee Titans trading up to select Will Levis because the Titans need a quarterback. They pick at number 11, I believe. And that I don't think they're set on Ryan Tannehill. There's rumors that they were trying to trade him. I don't think they're convinced. Oh no, here we go. Seahawks pick is in. So they're not trading it. Scratch that. They are picking. My guess, if I have to go with my gut, I'm taking Jalen Carter. I know he's got off-field issues. I know I want him to fall to the Bears, but I think Pete Carroll is the kind of guy that says, hey, I've dealt with these college kids that have these issues before. I know how to kind of get them in line, and I just trust that he's going to show up and play. And that's what I think they're going to do. So pick is in. It's on a commercial. Come on, ESPN. You couldn't have shelled out to have a commercialless at least first 10 picks. Come on, let's go. They got to get paid, I guess. They got to get paid so that they can pay Sam Acho so that he can come on our show and give his opinion on fantasy football, and talk about his book, Change Starts With You. Make sure you check that out because and check out the podcast he was on. It was phenomenal. It's not a thing where like, oh, well, it's 2 weeks later. It's not relevant anymore. Still very relevant. Same with our distiller interview. But yeah, check that out. Waiting to see the Seahawks pick. Still waiting. I think it's Jalen Carter. We'll see. The defensive tackle out of Georgia, in case you're unfamiliar. But I never finished what you're going to win. So if you enter our contest and get drawn as the winner, you get an Old Fashioned Football Podcast t-shirt. You get 2 handshakes, which are small samples if you're unfamiliar with of any whiskey we've reviewed on the show, which includes a custom Oak and Eden whiskey. And you get a bottle of whiskey from Savage & Cook. They have committed to sending a bottle to the winner. So that's very exciting. You only got, let's see, it's the 27th. You have 3 more days to enter because it ends at the end of April. 3 more days. Get your reviews in. Follow us, subscribe, all that good stuff. What are the Seahawks doing here? Besides their fans dancing around and getting excited, here comes Roger Goodell. He's going to clue us in. They got Geno long term, right? So, and I think they liked Anthony Richardson if they were going to go quarterback. So let's go Jalen Carter. Let's see. Cornerback. That was the other way I thought they could go. Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois. This guy, he's a baller. He kind of struggled. I won't say struggled. He didn't show a lot of hand and ball skills until last year. Last year, he really started jumping off the page and showing that he could do that, right? So that's interesting. He was actually my second ranked cornerback. I had Gonzalez above him, but I still love this pick. I think it's a really good pick. And he kind of, Seattle had been known for that Legion of Boom, right? Having a really good secondary. And this is a guy that can help him get back to that. He's a hard hitter, even though he's a little smaller side. I think he's 5'11", but he's really good. He's really aggressive, and I think this is a really good pick. So, watch out for Seattle's defense too. Probably not a defense I am drafting in fantasy football, but definitely one that I could see streaming certain weeks. So we got the Detroit Lions up on the clock at the number 6 pick. So I don't want to repeat myself here, but I'm going to go Jalen Carter. Dan Campbell loves aggressive defensive players. He is the coach that said that he's looking for knee biters. And so, yeah, I think Jalen Carter makes a lot of sense. But we'll see. We'll see what they do here. So we've had 3 offensive players off the board, just as a recap. The Carolina Panthers took Bryce Young. Don't like that pick. I already said I think he's too small. The Houston Texans took CJ Stroud. Love that pick. I think he's going to do very well for them. And they traded up to that 3rd spot. I have not seen the trade comp yet. I'm sure it's out there, but I don't want to be checking my phone while I'm talking to y'all. They traded up to get Will Anderson, help their defense out. And then the Colts, kind of surprising, took Anthony Richardson. So that is surprising. And then again, Devin Witherspoon just went to the Seahawks with the 5th pick. And now we're waiting for the Lions to pick, who I think they take Jalen Carter. Now, if they do take Jalen Carter, if you imagine Jalen Carter and Aiden Hutchinson on the same defensive line, you're talking about a very scary defense. That is a defense that I would target in fantasy football because I do think they're going to rack up sacks. They're going to force interceptions. And yeah. So I am going to take a very, very brief break to finish this whiskey and pour the next one because pick 6 should be brought to you by a next one. So give me 1 second here. Oh, I better get the our logo off my face. I am back. Welcome back. Let's get to the banners here. So now pick 6 is by the Lions is brought to you by Oak and Eden. This is a bourbon and blackberry. If you listen to Tuesday's episode, this is a custom one. You can go on their site on Oak and Eden, and if you look at the post on Sports Gambling Podcast page, you can see. But you can go on their site and get it custom made. And this is the bourbon and blackberry. Miranda made it for me for my birthday, and it is so good. When you taste it, you get a lot of oakiness, and then it's got a nice follow of blackberry. So I really enjoy this one. Something different. You're not used to, your bourbons having kind of a fruitiness to them. And I wouldn't say it's an overpowering fruit. It's just that after note, the finish is very kind of has a blackberry taste. Oh, Arizona is trading up. I was just informed by my assistant who just got in here. So they traded down and now they're trading up. So that's interesting. I'm trying to think of who I would have them taking. I'm going to I think they need an edge rusher more than they need anything else. So I'm going to go with Tyree Wilson. But Josh Thompson, our buddy who I said was a Georgia fan, checking in. He said Colts took Anthony Richardson at 4. Worst pick of the draft, and we're only 4 picks in. That's pretty good. Like it. I like the pick. I don't like it for the future. I don't like it for or not the future. I like it for the future. I don't like it for now. I don't think he helps them now. But I got big dick Nick Foles. Maybe they don't need him to help. Maybe they just need him to sit and develop and be the face of their franchise. The Detroit Lions are trading, which we already knew, thanks to Miranda, to the Cardinals. And let's see who they pick here. It's making a trade like this, maybe they want Bijan Robinson. They have James Conner, but he's not getting any younger, and Bijan is a game changer. Get back there, get him running the ball to help Kyler Murray out. Maybe they're done with Kyler Murray. Maybe they're done with him and they're going Will Levis. I don't know. We'll see. But they are on the clock. I don't even have a. Here we go. Pick 3. It says. Let me adjust this real quick. Again, we're doing things on the fly here. I am my own secretary today. I am my own secretary every day. But pick 6, Arizona Cardinals on the clock. And we're waiting to see who they're going to take. Now, they traded the 12th overall pick and the second round pick, which is number 34, to the Lions for the 6th pick. Now, they had that 12th overall pick from the Texans. I had a feeling that they got that 12th pick in that trade when the Texans traded up. It says the pick is in, so we'll see who they take. We're waiting. I think Roger Goodell looks like he's probably making his way to the stage. So we'll see who he takes. Again, brought to you by Oak and Eden Bourbon and Blackberry. Very good. So good. I mean, that oakiness with the fruit finish. And it's a burnt oak taste. All right, here's the selection by the Arizona Cardinals. Spit it out, Goodell. He's telling us about the trade. We already know about the trade. We just want to hear what the selection is. They are taking Paris Johnson Jr. Well, excuse me, but damn it. I wanted the Bears to get him. I thought he was the top tackle, despite some thinking it was Skoronowski. So that's interesting, especially if Skoronowski gets looked at with either that 7th pick with the Raiders or the 8th pick with the Falcons, because obviously the Bears have the 6th pick. So, that's interesting. Paris Johnson, he's very excited to see him celebrating there. That was fun to watch. These are kids. They're kids, and their dream is coming true when they get drafted, especially in the first round. This guy's a big dude, 6'6", 300 some pounds, but you got to imagine he picks their offense up a little bit, helps Kyler Murray out, right? So it's a good pick. Raiders are on the clock now, though. They cannot take my prediction, which was Anthony Richardson, because he's gone. So I think they go Christian Gonzalez with the cornerback. I think that was their probably biggest need. I just thought they were going to be a little surprising, and take Anthony Richardson. Now, I did say today to a buddy of mine, Nick Fortune, I said, I think Will Levis becomes Bo Callahan. If you're unfamiliar with draft day, Bo Callahan was supposed to be the number 1 pick and started sliding. That's what I predicted for Levis. You know, when you put mayonnaise in your coffee and eat black bananas, peel and all, that's what you get, I guess. I mean, nobody needs that locker room distraction. So if you want to hear Miranda's reaction to him putting mayonnaise in his coffee and eating black bananas, listen to Tuesday's pod. She was not a fan of that. We'll just throw that out there, but listen to her reaction because it was pretty good. She wasn't aware that he did that. She hadn't seen that video, and yeah, I thought we were gonna have to pause so she could go get sick. We'll just say that. But anyways, Raiders on the clock. Who do you think they're taking? I think they're taking Christian Gonzalez. And this is probably the last pick I'm sticking around. I say we. I'm so used to we because me and the other half, JMark's wifey, check out all our work at Old Fashioned Football. Follow us on Twitter at Old Fashioned FB. Follow us on YouTube, youtube.com/@old-fashionedfootball. Subscribe on Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to your podcasts. And yeah, listen, like, rate, review. All of that helps us so much. It helps us a ton, and we appreciate it. We've had a lot of support this month since we launched our own feed. Since the Sports Gambling Podcast let us launch our own feed, I should say. It's not like we just did it. They allowed us. They encouraged us. They pushed us. They're letting us grow. And we've had an awesome amount of support, and we appreciate every one of you that have given that support, that have showed up to listen. But if you're new, we love that too. Welcome. So we're going to be doing some contests at least these first couple months. This first one's the biggest one, but we are going to be doing contests. I'm going to be challenging other distillers, being like, hey, can you hook our fans up with a bottle of whiskey in a contest? So keep listening so you know what the contest is. That's the moral of that story. Let's see what these crazy Raiders fans are going to do. Miranda's Uncle Paul is a big Raiders fan. I'm sure he's anxious to see what happens here. They could go a couple different routes, but I think Christian Gonzalez makes a lot of sense. I mean, Jalen Carter, I don't know if they need that defensive tackle as much. They obviously don't need Bijan Robinson because they have Josh Jacobs. Sorry, almost blanked on Josh Jacobs. They could go Skoronowski, offensive tackle, to help Jimmy G. I think keeping Jimmy G upright is a high priority because we know how injury prone he is. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't think they go with quarterback now. I don't think they take Will Levis. They have Jimmy G. They paid the man. I don't think they take a quarterback that's ready to start now. And I do think Will Levis is probably ready to start, even though I'm down on him. It's not that I think he's a bad quarterback. I just do not like him as much as CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud was my number one quarterback in the draft. And yeah, now this is really interesting though. Paris Johnson was kind of my number one target for the Chicago Bears. So we're going to do a little Bears talk right now. As you all know, we're Bears fans. I should say y'all know if you've listened to us before. I want him to get Paris Johnson. I would not be upset if they got Bijan Robinson. Skoronowski is okay. I really feel Skoro becomes more of a guard than a tackle, or he's a right tackle, not a left tackle. And I think we need to protect that blind side. So it'll be interesting to see if we end up trading back. I know that was a possibility that was talked about. Poles was ready to trade up, trade back, do whatever. And I'm interested to see what we do there. That's in 2 picks. Again, I will be dropping after this one so that we can make an appearance on the Sports Gambling Podcast live stream. Make sure you go check that out. That's on their YouTube. Hopefully you're subscribed. If you're not, just go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/YouTube, I believe, or YouTube/@sportsgamblingpodcast. I'm sure you can find it. If you're here, I'm sure you can find it. But the pick is in for the Raiders. Thanks for hanging out with me. There wasn't a lot of analysis to give because I talked about Bryce Young before he got drafted because I thought he would be the first. CJ Stroud, I sang praises on that and said in your deeper leagues or dynasty or super flex or keeper leagues, I'm going after CJ Stroud. I think he's got a really good future, and I think the Texans will do what they need to do to build around him. Anthony Richardson, I don't think is ready yet, and the rest were either defenders or an offensive line, right? So I think the Lions defense is one to kind of keep an eye on. I really do. But yeah, I mean, obviously they traded with the Cardinals, but even with Aiden Hutchinson there, and I think they're going to add some pieces. So let's see who these Raiders get. The Las Vegas Raiders. Again, I had Anthony Richardson going to them. Cannot do that anymore. He is not there anymore. So, but yeah, thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. Make sure you check out Old Fashioned Football. This is the last pick I'll be sticking around for right now. It's weird not doing this with the better half. She keeps me from going on my tangents. As you probably, if you were listening close enough, you know I lost my spot a couple times, my spot in my mind, and so didn't have anybody to keep me from those tangents or to circle me back to what I was talking about. Raiders fans are getting excited. They have a very passionate fan group. Jalen Carter would be a good fit because he already has a little bit of a record. We talked about the off-field issue, which he pleaded no contest to, but he's got that off-field record, which kind of fits the Raiders. I mean, I feel like you have to have somewhat of a record to be a Raider. That just seems to be how it goes. Kidding, Raider fans, calm down. Let's see. Pick is in. This last pick brought to you by Oak and Eden, thanks to Savage and Cook. We did their second glance and their burning chair. Thank you to Oak and Eden. Go build your custom bottle. You can make it how you want it, whether it's the bourbon, the 4-grain, the rye, the 90 proof, the 114 proof, and you can add coffee, honey, maple, blackberry, pineapple, rum, all sorts of different combinations you can come up with there. Heck, do a couple of them. But here comes Roger Goodell strutting his stuff. I don't know if Roger Goodell really struts his stuff, but here he comes onto the stage. The pick is in. Tyree Wilson, defensive end out of Texas Tech. I didn't expect that. That's interesting. Bears are up in 2 picks. My whiskey is gone. Going once, going twice. Sold.